When it comes to stories about parallel universes, the words that often best explain them are weird, spooky, and creepy. They are more like scenes from a horror or sci-fi movie. Do you have any ideas about what these alternative reality experiences are? If no, then we suggest you watch this video to the end to know all about these top 10 real parallel universe stories that defy science. This video will give you a glimpse of the mysterious world of alternative realities. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the post notification. Number 10. The Light Bulb Son. Here's the story of a busy couple in their home with some house chores when something super weird happened to them. At about 2 p.m., the man went through the front door to toss out the dirty rug. To his shock, it was completely dark outside. It was even scarier because from the inside, it looked like a regular sunny afternoon, with light coming in from the windows. He said everything suddenly changed from the outside front door. It appeared like the sun with a light bulb, and it flickered off and on a few times. He described it as a flickering form of a light bulb right before it goes out. His wife almost couldn't believe it. She had to inquire from him what he had seen, and he said yes. What just happened, they wondered. It was even more surprising because there were no clouds outside either. So what could have blocked out the sun? Did they travel to some other universe? Number 9. The Setup. This story comes from a Reddit user who goes by the name RunnerGirl2001. This person was trying to get over an ex when her friend Maggie texted and asked if they will be open to going on a date with a mutual friend named Audrey. She accepted and tried to have a conversation with Audrey, but she wasn't feeling the connection, so she assumed they were not meant to be. Shortly after this, more friends began texting Runner Girl about Audrey, even though they didn't want to keep seeing each other. Later that day, Runner Girl ended up zooming out of traffic and was close to getting involved in an accident. They were halfway into the intersection when they realized they had run a red light. They realized they had just escaped an accident as a car swerved to avoid hitting them. Runner Girl pulled over to process what had just happened. After this incident, her friend stopped texting her and never spoke about Audrey again. A couple of months later, Audrey began dating someone else in the same group named Jake. Runner Girl assumed this was why they stopped bringing up Audrey. She decides to bring up Audrey to Maggie, reminding her of how she had tried to set them up. Maggie was super confused. She said no, we were only trying to set up Audrey with Jake. When they went back through the text, they couldn't find any mention of Audrey. She flashes back to the accident, then she suddenly teleported into another dimension. Number 8. The Track and Field Vet. While Sam was watching TV with her mom and brother in one day, an ad for a show comes up on the screen, and it was for one of those veterinary shows. Sam's brother realizes that the vet on the show was his old track and field coach. The brother could recall that he was a vet, but didn't know that he was on a TV show. Sam felt the story was excellent even though she had never met this vet. By this time, her sister and dad went out to run some errands. When Sam's dad and sister returned, he went to tell them about the brother's coach, who's now on TV. Sam's sister had never met this track coach before. She asked her sister if she remembered the coach with a vet clinic, and her sister replies, "The humorous one with the mustache." She was amazed. Sam was curious as to how she knew he had a mustache, but she had never met him. Her sister's reply almost gave her the creeps. Her sister answered that Sam told her about the instructor earlier that morning. It freaked Sam out because she didn't have any idea about the coach looks earlier and didn't remember having this conversation. Sam wondered why would anyone bring up their brother's old track coach without any reason. Creepy. Number 7. The Mysterious Community. This is a story about a person who frequently drives to another town, which is 3 hours away from the one they live in. One day, on their regular drive with their mom, they passed through a large chunk of the movement, an area with many mountains and cliffs. This person is in the passenger seat with their mom driving. Looking at the side of the window, they notice a small community they had never seen before. It was a cluster of bungalows, which is unusual in the area. They were confused as about how they had never seen this place before in all their drives through that place. But it gets even weirder. After that day, they never saw that community again. It just disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. Could they have accidentally driven into a new time zone on that day? Number 6. The Power Plant. This lady was driving to work on the same road she takes every day. After work, she got back into the car to take the same route back home. As she drove, she began to feel anxious, almost like she wanted to have a panic attack. She kept going, and all of a sudden, she saw this massive power plant all lit up. She was super confused as she takes this road every day. How could she possibly miss this conspicuously event power plant? Her boyfriend then calls and tells her to pick up some McDonald's on the way home. When she got to the drive-thru, she saw an employee by the window that she had never seen before, even though she's at the same McDonald's every day. Even more surprising, the new employee says they had now been working there for around 2 months. She heads home after collecting the food. Getting home, she narrates the ordeal to her boyfriend, starting with the stranger power plant. Her boyfriend wasn't surprised. Instead, he said the power plant has always been there, and he doesn't understand what she's been saying. She now drives past this power plant wondering how it got there and how she missed it. She has also noticed a few different things. Her dog does not seem to know the tricks that it used to know. Also, her boyfriend now talks differently. Could it be that on her drive home she slipped into a new era? Number 5. The SD card. The story began when this person received a camera as an early birthday gift, but there was no SD card in the camera. While home, they inserted their old SD card into the new camera to see pictures and videos they had all forgotten. As they scrolled through the photos and videos, they found a picture of their mom with their old dogs that had passed away. It was such a beautiful memory to see this, especially when they had forgotten it. They were glad to see their dog once again. They then switched to another SD card to see if there were any more forgotten memories. But sadly, the other SD card was almost empty, so they put back the first one again. They saw the thumbnail for the dog. They selected it, but when they tried to load it, the screen suddenly looked cracked all over. They backed out of the thumbnail and the entire video just suddenly disappeared, and the screen of the brand new camera was all messed up. While looking through the SD cards, it looked like the camera transported them into an alternative reality where the video was taken. Super strange. Number 4. The locked car. This short clip shows a lady who worked at a retirement home. Their work requires them to take weekly COVID-19 tests. The test is typically done quite far away from where they work, so she had to drive her car all the way over there. She parked her car and locked it but left it running since the test was quick and easy. While there, she saw a friend of hers and offered them a ride back to their job. They headed back to the parking lot to realize the car was still running, but the doors were locked. She checked through her pockets to make sure that they didn't have the keys. Although the car was running, making it impossible, and there was no spare key for the vehicle, after much ado, they had to call a locksmith to help them out. When he arrived, they went back to the car and realized it wasn't running anymore. They all figured it had probably run out of gas or battery. The locksmith opened the car door and then reached for the keys. They realized they weren't in the ignition. They were shocked because the car was definitely on earlier and they were locked out. While taking a couple of steps back to the testing center, she heard the keys jingle in their pockets. These were the same pockets she had checked before. Where did these keys come from? Well, she then had to pay the locksmith $200. Number 3. Honey. We bring another dog story to our list. In this one, a woman we can call Sarah is catching up with her mom over their weekly phone call. Her mom informed her that her sister's dog had passed away. Sarah wasn't happy about this loss and called her sister after hearing the news. Sarah asked her some questions, including where they were planning to bury the dog and how her nephew was doing with the loss. Sarah later informed her boyfriend about the loss, saying the family and the dog had a powerful bond. A couple of months later, Sarah takes a trip home for Thanksgiving. Her sister was out of town to spend the holiday with her in-laws, so she left all her pets at her parents' house so they could help watch over them. As Sarah walked into the parents' home, she was left shocked beyond words to find they said the dog Honey sitting in the living room. Sarah was, of course, overjoyed that Honey was alive, but asked her mom why she had told her Honey died. Sarah's mom was confused, and she said they had never had that phone conversation. Sarah spoke to her boyfriend about it when she got home. He said he was super glad she brought it up because he remembered that conversation as well. Did they somehow enter a world where Honey was still alive? Number 2. The truck blockade. In this story, a guy had a weird moment about 15 years ago that he couldn't get off his mind. When he was in his early 20s, he loved to speed in cars and just wanted to go fast. His friend had a car that he wanted to drive, so one day, it just turned out to be his lucky day, and his friend finally gave in. He hopped in the driver's seat with his friend who owned the car, with another buddy in the back, and off they went. They went to an empty freeway at about 3 a.m., and then he starts to drive. Once he hits 130 miles per hour, they begin to see a bunch of semi-trucks. There were 3 driving side by side, taking all 3 lanes of the freeway. He thought to himself there was an on-ramp coming, and he would use that as an extra space to pass. But unfortunately, as he approached the on-ramp, another semi was entering the freeway. It was approaching too fast, with all 4 semis occupying the 4 lanes, with no time to brake. So he closed his eyes and prepared for the worst, but then nothing happened. He opened his eyes, and the other guys in the car were just as confused as he was. Somehow they were now in front of the semis. We bet this will be the last time he will ever drive that car at that high speed. Was this real, or did he somehow enter into a different dimension? Number 1. Friendly neighbor. Speaking of second chances, this guy gets a call from his neighbors. They asked if he could help them move a mattress upstairs. He had a great relationship with them, so he was willing to help. After helping them out, the neighbors asked if he wouldn't mind helping with another bulky household item that was well. No problem, he said, as he began to help them move it upstairs. That was the moment things diverted to the spooky dimension. The neighbor was up on the stairs, as he was below as they lifted this household item. His friend at the top lost the handle, and the whole thing came crashing down on him as he was at the bottom. He loses his balance and falls back towards the pavement. The man remembers blacking out from the fall. The next thing, he was sitting in his dining room with his phone ringing and his wife asking him if he was gonna answer. He was freaked out because he thought he had just died a few seconds ago, but now he's here. When he answers the phone, it was his neighbors asking if he could help move a mattress up the stairs. He surprisingly goes over again to help, but when he gets there, he says he only can help with the one bed, but not with the bulky item. The neighbor was shocked and couldn't help but wonder how he could have known that they planned to moving something else. Did this guy have some premonition? What's your thought on these top 10 parallel universe stories that defy science? Let us know in the comment section. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the post notification. We will be back soon with another video just for you. Thank you so much for watching.